Hello everybody, it's the 25th of April and I'm starting this timey-wimey video on my what? Oh, for goodness sake, the name of this plant has just flown out of my head over the rooftops and far, far away. I'm back. I had to send out a search party via Google to remind me of various climbing plants until I found what I was looking for. Dear, dear. This is a Virginia creeper that I layered as it came over the fence from next door, and I'm attempting to grow it in a kind of leaning weeping willow style. I probably should have repotted it this spring, but I'm not going to, and I need to clean off all this moss and apply some continuous release fertilizer pellets, but I will do that off camera so as not to bore you. The tree is shooting already and it's growing quite nicely. I'm going to leave all this wire on for a little bit longer. I wired it so loosely you could almost park a car in between the wire and the plant. Let me move you in and show you what I mean. As I've always said, my wiring is atrocious anyway, but this is worse than most. But because these branches are so bendy and so rippy and flippy, I just wanted to support them, and I didn't need the wire to hold them in shape as such, because as I say, it's so bendy, but I did want the wire to hold them into an upright position and not just flop. So that's what the wire has been doing. So I'm not going to take the wire off. There's no chance of it cutting in particularly. But what I am going to do is I'm going to shorten a couple of these branches. So I'm going to shorten that back to there. Having done that and taken that out, I can now feel that although it has set in that shape, it's still not really going to hold up a lot of weight. At the top here I've got a bit of a jumble, so I'm going to take off this central piece and this piece, leaving this branch, and I'm going to shorten this top piece back to that second node there, and I'm going to shorten this branch back to here, in the hope that I can get a little bit more branching to create that weeping willow style head. As I say, this is a timey-wimey video, so when they've published you'll see whether I've helped the tree in any way or made things worse, I guess. I'm going to leave all the side shoots on the side of the trunk to help it firm up, because again, I don't think if I remove this cane and wire contraption, yeah, I think it would just fall over at the moment. Eventually it'll get thick enough to self-support. It's the 8th of June and, well, the vine, the tree, however you want to describe it, is growing up rather nicely and actually starting to flower. What I want to do is use these excess lengths of wire that I left on here. They're still not digging in from last year because I left them deliberately very loose, and I can just pull that piece of vine back that direction to fill out a bit of the back rather than covering the front. I've got quite a lot of growth on the trunk, which I'm going to leave on because it's going to help fatten the trunk. At some point I'm hoping this will become self-supporting and not need this cane and wire contraption. If you've not seen, oh well, this is part of a Timey Wimey video, so I may have already said all this, but hopefully I hope it to be a sort of weeping willow style, leaning over the river tree. Got a long way to go to get there, and at the moment it's not really self-supporting, but eventually the trunk and the branches will become woody enough that they will become self-supporting, and I think it'll look rather nice, especially in the autumn when the leaves turn a gorgeous shade of red. So I'm going to put a few pieces of wire on this, a few more pieces of wire on this, which I won't film, but I'll come back and show you when it's done. Okay, so that would have been a very painful process to watch, as I constantly got in the way of myself and the view, trying to wrap around all these leaves. So what I've eventually, I hope you can now see, let's move that slightly, is I'm beginning to get these beginnings of a structure from which to hang these long flowing branches, which will eventually just hang down because that's there, unless they find something to grab a hold of with these. I'm sure there's a technical term, perhaps someone can tell me in the comments even, but these grabby bits that would wind around, tendrils, is that the word, will eventually grab hold of something and climb up, but if they don't, they hang down. And as I say, I think this tree will look at its best when we have, or when it's in its winter form, but it'll also look rather gorgeous when these leaves all turn bright scarlet as they do. I have no idea whether these leaves will come down in size over the years. That's another thing to find out. So subscribe if you're not already, then you can follow this tree's progress over the next few years, and then you'll find out whether the leaves come down in size too. It's the 6th of July, and some pieces are growing much better than others. This piece, for example, which is there solely to fatten the base of the trunk, has been growing great guns. Some of these other pieces have only grown about a foot or 18 inches maybe. This piece again, maybe 2 feet, and this piece is growing really well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim back a couple of these, just because they're getting too long and too lanky, dragging along the bench, and with these tendrils and things are starting to tangle into other trees, and frankly make themselves a blooming nuisance. So I'm just trimming off a few of these pieces, and hopefully it won't drag its feet too much. This piece actually seems to have snapped at this point, possibly under its own weight, possibly got snagged on something. I'm not sure I can save it, although it's still attached. I'm just going to leave it and we will see what happens. Yeah, this piece I'm just for now gonna wrap around the trunk like so, where it can do its thing a bit and hopefully not get in the way. This is another one of those long-term projects that I've got no clear idea of whether it will be successful or not, but I'm enjoying trying. It's the 10th of October today, and I'd looked at this tree yesterday and it was absolutely covered in gorgeous scarlet foliage, beautiful, and I thought I must capture that on video. Unfortunately, pretty much the second that my fingers touched the pot and started to lift it off the bench to bring it down here to film, almost all the leaves just fell off, as you can see from this still here. As you can see, it's a kind of weird mixture now of some leaves left and some that have fallen off. It still has, let me zoom in a bit, it still has flower, and yet has produced seed. So I think I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to, well, just a brief reminder of where we're at, and then I'm going to chop it back. I think it's done all the growing it's going to do for this year, and hopefully set it up for next spring. So starting here at the base, we have got some long shoots that I just allowed to grow and grow and grow to help thicken this trunk, which at the moment is still suspended on a length of bamboo and some this sort of patent pending wire support that I conjured up. I don't think it's going to support itself at the moment if I take this out, so I'm going to leave that for the winter at least, but I'm going to remove these lower branches that have done, well, quite a good job of flattening up the trunk. Unfortunately, with its leaning nature, it's difficult. I won't be able to give you a full 360 easily, so I'm afraid you'll have to use your imagination a little. But I can just unwrap this. It can be gone. Okay. There we go. Okay, and there's another sucker coming from below ground now. I'm not going to go into the soil, but I'm just going to nip that off for now. Okay, and all these other shoots, I'm going to have to carefully unwire what I want to cut back and where I want to cut back to. I don't even need to do that with this one. I'm going to shorten that to there. This one I'm going to just remove this piece of wire. I think the branch is more or less set where I want it. Maybe not. I'm going to trim it. I don't see any of that, but anyway, this piece I've chopped here with a downward facing bud, and I've now wired it up so that when the bud pops it'll come out more. It was basically drooping. And then this piece at the back, let's do the front first so I can move the tree round. I'm going to cut it back fairly hard. Just going to put a small piece on this branch, just going to anchor it under that wire. Terrible wiring, don't do it like this. As they say, get you thrown out your bonsai club. You turn up with a tree wired like that. But crude but effective. Until you snap it. It's not come off, so I'm going to leave it and we will see. Okay. I'm sure I've done the canning for scale at some point during this video, but there it is again. I'm just going to put this tree back on the bench. That's more or less its spring set up, and hopefully I can build that floating, weeping, leaning tree. Nothing else to say except thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Do all the usual YouTube things, like, subscribe, comment below, but most of all, please stay safe everybody.